Well, welcome to the fundamentals of real estate. I'm your host, Angela Dillmon. This is my wealth building partner, Glen Calvin at Gilmortgage.
Yes.
And this is our expert buyer's agent, Josh Gulledge. Thanks for joining us today. What's the question of the day, Glen?
Question of the day is, I was working with some people the other day and they were moving in their new home. I thought, what separates one mover? What makes a good mover?
That's a question of the day, Glen?
Yes. Moving furniture, what makes one mover better than the other one?
I don't know, Glen.
The good mover always makes the other guy go backwards.
Oh, super good. All
Yes.
right. That's fun.
Yes.
All right. Wait a minute. I'm going to have to give the real question of the
All
day,
right.
I think. All right. Our real question of the day is this. You know, there's the internet out there, and you can just search and find homes whenever you want. What do I really need an agent for?
Well, I get that all the time.
Right?
Yeah.
And I do too. We hear it all the time. And this part of the buyer meeting that you have with Josh after you've talked to Glenn and you know your numbers, and now we're on our buyer Zoom and we've gotten a little bit of the background statistics. What's the St. Louis market doing? Yeah. Now we're going to connect with an agent. And so you should interview an agent. I'm going to encourage you to interview an agent. I don't know if you're just stopping at an open house, liking an agent and like, voila. Even if you meet Josh at an open house, he's going to say, hey, let's get you to the lender. Let's make sure that you know that what your numbers are. And then let's meet. Let's meet for 30 minutes. Let's meet for 45 minutes and get the context of the market and really figure out what's going on here. So
the context of the market and get to know Josh. This is a chance for him to talk about his qualifications.
Yeah.
You're going to be spending a lot of time. You're going to be making a lot of really big decisions. It's really important that you know and trust this person.
Yeah. And what I find super interesting is that a lot of people will just use the first agent that they run into. I had someone not too long ago run into someone in an open house, and guy seemed nice. And, they're like, well, I like him. That should be enough. But his experience wasn't all that great. So when they made their first offer on a home, and it was in multiple offers at the same time there, they didn't win. And when they said, hey, why didn't we win? Can you go ask the listing agent, did she represent one of the buyers in that multiple offer situation? The guy said, oh, that's illegal. I can't ask that. I was like, what? Of course you can ask that. That's a totally legitimate question. I asked her if she had not only been to a lender and pre-approved, but through the underwriting process. And we've talked about that, how important it is, to be able to, when
especially
you're in multiple
market,
offers, right? To say, hey, my loan's already off the table. I'm already completely approved. The guy said to her, he said, that's illegal. Okay, so just because you might like somebody's personality doesn't mean that they can do what all agents really can't do the same thing.
So Josh, you've had a phone conversation. We're interested. Now you're going to set up a Zoom meeting, which I think is really clever and so cool. The technology is there. You can get somebody. Your husband and wife don't even have to be in the same state. You send them the email. They're on the Zoom meeting. How do you handle that?
Yeah. So again, just the last episode we talked about, going over the market.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's really a time for me to connect with them on a more personal level. I can show my experience.
Right.
And again, just before we talk about that, agents all the time create these weird rules and things that are right and shouldn't do this and shouldn't do that. And they have no legal bearing, or there's nowhere and I don't even know where they come up with some of this stuff.
I don't know.
So, sometimes
it's a crazy story, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I hear it all the time from, clients that I get from other agents, or, just even if I'm at a party and a friend is using another agent, sometimes they'll just inquire how it's going. And, I won't say anything because, I can't cross the sign and stuff like that. But I'll hear their agent doing some crazy stuff and they'll tell me, yeah, my agent can't do this. And I'm like, because of this reason. And I want to just be like, well, that's not true, but okay. But I hold my tongue. But no, again, it really does come down to, an agent that's going to show you the opportunities and the experience.
So how do you show them your experience?
Yeah, so again, I'm very blessed. I've been doing it 10 years now with you guys.
10 years.
So,
Josh's 10 years anniversary, actually.
So 10 years,
congrats.
I've sold over 300 homes. And I always tell people, I've lived in 3 different counties. So I lived in St. Louis County, Jefferson County, and St. Charles County. So I know each of the counties. I know the roadways really well. Gone, homes on septic systems, homes on acreage, condos, new builds, flips, rentals. You name it, I've done it. $1 million homes to first-time homebuyer homes. So, even some agents that you claim are super successful, if they only do one subdivision and they just get several deals out of that every year. Like, how good of an agent are they when you're talking St. Louis? Like, they know one area of one city. And if you start talking to them about septic systems, they're like, I mean, septic systems are complicated to begin with, especially if somebody's never lived on one, to explain that to them. So I just tell them there's not a scenario in real estate that I haven't gone through before. Now, again, obviously each home has different hoops you have to jump through and different stuff. But again, it's not like I haven't sold homes on septic systems or, dealt with all that stuff.
Condos and all the things that go into condominiums and land and acreage and
HOAs and surveys and
so again, having
inspections.
So having a really good basis of this is how this goes, and that way, if again, because agents are really generally pretty weak in some of these areas, and I will have agents tell me all the time, like especially regarding septics, like I'll see a septic problem, like, oh, that's just how septics are, and I'm like, no. It's not. Like, I've sold 7 this year or whatever. And it's like, and probably 100 septic systems over 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not how septics are. Right. Or again, they do it with condos. Like, oh, that's just what most condos do. And again, maybe that's true because their experience is that condo. But and again, they tell me stuff all the time. Like they try to push it along. Like, this is normal. I'm like, this is not normal. So.
And just a little caveat here. The average agent sells like 5-7 homes a year. I know you think that's like, what? And that's not great experience. And it's not great experience to keep your finger and your pulse on the market and what it's doing and what's happening and how we need to pivot every single week and every month. Josh got 42 buyers sold this year, just this year alone.
So in that meeting, you got to do a little bit of bragging about yourself. Is that awkward? Or are you just kind of telling them your qualifications?
Again, I just like anybody, I do hate bragging on myself, to be honest with you. But I have had people before, like, that is what people are looking for.
Right.
So I try to do it in a 30-second to a minute long and tell them, hey, this is just here are my qualifications.
Right.
That way I don't come across as braggy. I warn them and just say, hey, I want you to know who you're talking to as an expert in this field. Because again, I've done that before where I have lost business because I don't brag on myself, and then somebody says, I went with this person because I think they sell more homes, and I sell 3 times more homes than they do. So that was kind of a like, well, I guess I need to talk about.
So what else about an agent? I mean, a lot of agents still are kind of on their own, but even if they're on their own, they should have support. So we do have the team approach here, and one of the reasons we do is when you're interviewing an agent, what happens when you're sick, you're on vacation, you're on another appointment, and I need to see the baby's on the way, right? And I need to see a home now. What happens, right? So for our team approach, there's 3 of us that can show, and so there's always somebody available, and we make sure there's hey, it takes a lot of time to search for homes. You think it's maybe easy because you have the internet, and we'll answer that in just a minute. But there's also off-market opportunities, right? And looking at things that are a little bit higher, and could I get them cheaper for that buyer and all the things, right? So the time it takes to search and show homes, it takes 4 to 5 times the number of hours to help a buyer than it does to help a seller.
And it's not
like an average of 80 hours at least for each buyer. So you're talking a lot of time.
It's not just the time, though, because you're getting that experience, which I think is huge. And don't discount that. So, you're getting Josh's experience, you're getting Angie's experience, you're getting Aaron's experience.
But what kind of support do they have? Like, we have contract rate support. So Josh could be showing on the weekend.
I think that is, again, their agents try to wear too many hats. So they have a hard time being a true expert in the field on one thing. Again, I've been there. I've tried to do it all before, and again, it's hard to you just run out of steam.
Right.
But yeah, the team aspect is huge because I bet you a quarter of the time. Again, I have right support on the weekends, especially when I'm
so we're talking about contract writing support. So Josh is out showing
homes,
5 different buyers, right? And he's like, hey, an offer needs to be in by 3:00 or 5:00 or 6. He's like, who's going to write? And either Aaron or I are always available to help him.
So it's happened at least, I'd say, 7 or 8 times this year out of the 42 this year that they have put deadlines to saying, hey, offers are due by Monday. I'm showing it on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So you think plenty of time, right? Show the home, clients say, hey, Josh, I love it. I want to write an offer. First thing I do is call the agent. Oh, somebody's pushing the timeline, and they're not waiting till Monday. They're deciding 6 p.m. Saturday night, and it's like noon. And so it's like, okay, well, you don't want to be that offer that submits 5 minutes before the deadline.
Right.
So immediately, again, even we've done it from the living room sometimes.
Yeah.
We've done it from we'll hop in my car if I feel like there might be some cameras, and we will just talk on the phone and say, hey, here are the terms, and I have people that can write it on the spot, and we can get an offer in extremely quickly.
Right.
And again, there's a lot of people and agents that don't have that support system. They're out showing all day Saturdays say, and they think that they have till Monday, and that next phone call to their clients is, hey guys, they picked one on Saturday. And again, a lot of times they will make themselves look better and say, well, we didn't have a chance because they picked one early. When that's really not true. Sometimes it's just the sellers get a little anxious. They're tired of being out of their house and they pick one. So yeah, the team aspect is huge just because speed wins.
Speed will win the day a lot of times.
So you're talking to that person, you're talking about your team.
Yeah.
You're talking about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and the contract, and really the contract to close support is so important as well. So we have a dedicated person, our wonderful Linda Munzert, who does our contract to close. So once it goes under contract, she handles all the paperwork, all the logistics, setting up your closing time, helping you with the utilities, all those things.
I joke with my clients all the time. It's like, believe me, like you do not want me or pay me to do your paperwork. Like you are hiring me for my expertise to get you and save you money over here, not do paperwork for you. So I can better spend my time helping. And again, talk about team. I brag on Glen all the time too, right? A lot of lenders, if 5 o'clock on Friday hits, you'll never hear from them again until Monday morning.
True.
And a lot of stuff in real estate and quick decisions that are very weighted need the lender involved. And Glen's phenomenal at answering the phone call, whether for me or he'll answer clients too. So it's not just oh, he sees my name and he'll answer, but he won't answer for anybody else. So he really makes a point to help us out if we need to on the weekends.
And so you got Glen, and then Glen even has Bobby. So even he has a backup, right? And so it's really important to have support in all areas.
It can happen so quick.
It can happen so if you're not interviewing and asking your agent these things, you're going to find out the hard way. Yeah. And you may lose your favorite dream property.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing I hear is, I'm trying to get a hold of my agent or I'm trying to get a hold of my lender, and it's like days, and it's like, why are we having so much trouble getting a hold of somebody that's literally working for you?
Right. So why do I need an agent if I can just jump online and look at things? Let's answer the question of the day.
Yeah. So to answer that question, I mean, it's simple. You want somebody that can not only just find you the homes, but show you the opportunities, which really will come in our next podcast. But are they showing you the right opportunities? Mm-hmm. Are they getting you away from money pits and disasters just waiting to happen?
Keeping you from making the big mistake.
So again, when we talk about those agents, if you just meet one at an open house or call the listing agents, like they don't represent you.
Right.
You have no representation. And a lot of times they try to pass stuff off as normal and standard. That's not. And you don't know any better.
Oh, so here's my favorite. I just had this happen over the weekend on one of my listings. It's a 2-story. And half the people in there were looking for ranches. They didn't want the stairs. Okay, so a good agent is going to screen those homes for you.
Exactly.
Oh, my word. Okay, so you're so excited, and you're looking at all the pictures, but you're not reading. You're not seeing seller's disclosures. We typically see them. They're posted on the internet. So we're screening for structural issues.
Floodplains.
Big one. And what... Hey, did you know this went back to a gas station? I'm just saying, do you really want to go see it? Yeah. If you do, that's cool. Just letting you know. It's on a super busy street. It's on the gas station. There's no yard. I know you want a flat, lovely yard for those 4 kids and the dog, and this one doesn't have one. So if you don't have an agent screening, you are going to burn, right? And one of the other things that an agent does really well, too, is help you adjust up front. And we're going to talk about this in detail next week, but you may say, you have this dream home in mind for the price that now you've worked out with Glen. And now you're like, okay, I'm going to go find it. And that doesn't exist. And you need to find that out sooner rather than later where your compromises need to happen. Yeah. And that's part of this phone call too. And if you don't have a really good agent who's going to tell you that right up front, you may look for 2 years and to figure it out.
Yep.
And you may burn and not buy.
Yep.
So we don't want you to do that. So next week, we're going to talk more about the actual home buying search during the meeting and why that's important to do together online before you just run out.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that'll be fun.
Thanks for joining us again today, Josh, and thank you for joining us. Until next week, we will see you then.